build something useful, something that'll make me popular.
What you're looking at is practical time travel.
You're 14 years old. I'm supposed to believe you can build a time machine?
Hello Internet, I'm the Disney Brain and welcome to the DCOM review. It only feels right that after so much time spent not having done one of these videos, that I review the movie most associated with time, that being Minutemen. I want to give a quick shout out to Ike Moore for suggesting this video. He makes videos that review all the latest in pop culture current events. So, when you're done here, go check out his channel, link down below. So, Lev L. Spiro directs this movie, the same guy who beautifully directed the Wizards of Waverly Place movie. Yeah, I know. It's kind of weird to talk about directors not named Paul Hohen on this channel. But Lev's one of those guys I wish Disney Channel would give more movies to. He's got a great sense for how to handle fictional or otherworldly elements in movies, and his small but powerful filmography is a testament to just that. But, is Minutemen another feather in his cap? Well, let's dive in. So we start things off as a trio of friends prepare to start their first day of high school. We've got Virgil, played by the always consistent Jason Dolley, Stephanie, played by the most beautiful girl on the planet, Chelsea Staub, and Derek, played by Stephen McQueen, who's probably more known for the Vampire Diaries in this movie. All of them are understandably anxious about fitting into high school, with Derek particularly nervous about football tryouts, just like pretty much every other male in any movie ever. Anyways, but when a kid driving an out-of-control, super-powered golf cart shows up, Derek nails him with a football while Virgil defends him. Long story short, the social roles are pretty much established from this point on, with Derek being a jock, Stephanie being a cheerleader, and Virgil hanging with the quote-unquote geeks while also being second in command at the AV club once we transition to 3 years later. Pretty standard high school movie plotline so far, but here's where things get interesting. The kid he defended 3 years ago is named Charlie Tuttle, and no, your eyes are not playing tricks on you, that is actually a young Luke Benward, as in Girl vs. Monster, Cloud9 Luke Benward, that did some major growing up. Man, I wish I had that kind of growth spurt. Well, anyways, so Charlie is a boy genius, and he thinks he's figured out a way to actually travel through time. Don't worry, we'll get into the temporal mechanics that define this movie when we break it down as a whole, but the pair run into a problem of not knowing how to perform the building part of building a time machine, so that's where the third member of the team, Zeke, comes in, portrayed by Nicholas Braun, who some of you may know as Ed, the really tall guy from Princess Protection Program. Zeke is a little rough around the edges, but after seeing the proposed designs, he agrees to help Virgil and Charlie build the time machine. Once it's done, Virgil comes up with the idea to use it to win a lottery, which Charlie is opposed to, but he already agreed that Virgil would have the first say in how they use it. It's here that we get our first homage to the greatest time-traveling movies ever made in the Back to the Future movies. If you recall, in Part 2, Marty also considers using time travel to profit in his own time. Here, it's not as large a plot point. Basically, they get a street performer to hold on to their winning ticket until they return, only to have said street performer win the lottery. With their first mission a complete failure, the trio tries to figure out what they should do with the technology they've created. After seeing an unpopular student get his clothes stolen, they realize what they must use their powers to become.
You ever hear of the Power Rangers?
Yeah, who hasn't?
Well, guess what? You be them.
No way!
Okay, nothing as exciting as all that. No, instead they become the Minutemen, a trio of snowsuited heroes who can undo the bad things that happen to the downtrodden outcasts of their school. I really think that their idea is a brilliant one for reasons I'll get into more later. But, unbeknownst to them during all of this is the effect their time traveling is having on the overall stability of the space-time continuum, which causes the trio to be followed by undercover FBI agents. Once it becomes known that Charlie kind of stole old NASA files, and that's part of what enabled him to construct the time machine in the first place, he leans towards shutting down their activities, not to mention the fact that they could be under surveillance at any time. But Virgil wants to go back one more time, after Stephanie falls off the top of the cheerleading pyramid and busts her leg, a situation that, if left unfixed, could ruin her chances at a college scholarship. Eventually, the others agree to Virgil's proposal and they save Stephanie, but she figures out that one of the snowsuit guys is actually Virgil himself. This leads to Stephanie recruiting the Minutemen to change the outcome of the championship game that Derek screwed up. After the Minutemen change that reality, Virgil is basically in with the popular kids, the one thing he seemingly always wanted since his first day of school. This, of course, leads to a falling out amongst our trio of heroes. A bit of time passes before it becomes clear that Derek has been cheating on Stephanie with a girl named Jocelyn. So, Let me see if I'm getting this clearly. This guy is dating Chelsea freaking Staub, a female with divine beauty and a lively personality to match, and you cheat on her? Now, allow me to ask a single follow-up question. How stupid are you? I will never subscribe to the idea of cheating, but being a dick is one thing. Being downright idiotic is something else entirely. Whew. Alright, mini rant over. Anyways, so Virgil talks to her and basically gets kind of friend-zoned. Ouch. But problems arise as the time-traveling trio are all abducted by the FBI, who have been tracking strange anomalies since the beginning of their adventures, the result of which is a black hole that's beginning to form just within the perimeter of their school. I'm not sure black hole is the terminology they want, since black holes are technically the result of collapsing stars, but we'll just go with it for now. So, we arrive at the around-the-clock school dance. Why? Say it with me now, because every DCOM has its dance. The atmosphere, aesthetic, and musical stylings all point to this being another tribute to the Back to the Future movies, since a similar school dance occurs in the first movie before the time-traveling climax. So Virgil wins king and Stephanie wins queen, as they start to feel that maybe they were meant to be something more than just friends. Oh yeah, and it bears mentioning that Derek asked Virgil to use time travel to keep Stephanie from finding out about his cheating, so if you needed another reason to hate this guy, well, the reasons are kind of piling up. But the black hole is growing in size, which means it's up to the trio of heroes to jump through the black hole and try to close it up. This transports them back to their first day of high school, for some reason. It would technically make more sense in terms of temporal mechanics to have them arrive at the day they first started time traveling, which eventually does happen when the movie resolves, but I can give them a pass on this because it sets up a nice reveal. That reveal being that despite what Derek claims, he is, in fact, actually the dick we all knew he was, if not a bigger one now. Once Virgil finds himself, the trio collapse the wormhole and return back to the time it all began, right before they started time traveling. Virgil confronts Derek, finally tells Stephanie how he feels, sort of, and hey, Charlie even kisses Jeanette, who I know I didn't talk about a lot since she doesn't really contribute too much to the plot, but she's adorable and I really like her in this movie. So, the trio retains their memories of everything that has happened, while for everyone else, it's as if nothing ever happened, thus concluding the film. And now, the characters. There's not as much to say here relative to the How to Build a Better Boy review that is more reliant on strong characters, but there's still a lot to like about this cast. Luke Benward plays a fun and exciting Charlie Tuttle that's a boy genius but also acts that out while balancing being just a kid with normal emotions. The obvious comparison is to current Disney Channel boy genius Farkle Minkus, but Farkle would definitely win that battle. He's good, and you can see why he gets cast in more roles in the future, but it's nothing that really jumps out at you. Nicholas Braun plays Zeke, and there's nothing too special about his performance either. He's basically just a bad boy who finally finds some friends. He does normal bad boy things and just so happens to be a good mechanic. I do enjoy his recurring bit with bringing his hook everywhere though. It kind of humanizes him, even though I'm not sure how useful it was at the end of the day. Stephanie and Derek are pretty standard characters as well, but unlike most popular kids who are just there because, well, every high school has popular kids, it feels like they operate more independently of normal jock or popular girl groups since most of the time we see them, they aren't surrounded by some posse. They're handling things on their own or together, which is both interesting and rare to see in DCOMs as far as that demographic goes. But that route also makes a lot of sense since these two used to be Virgil's closest friends. Since 3 years pass from the very beginning to the very end of the movie, they could have easily put these two in a situation where their transformations are more extreme. But the movie is smart about saying that these two were always the way they are for better or for worse. Derek was a dick from day one, so on day 1235, that wasn't going to change a whole lot. The key thing here is that both of these characters are believable and make me feel something one way or the other, which is a telling sign of solid characters. The supporting characters are a mixture of interesting and annoying. The parents of all of these children are absent for the entire movie, interestingly enough, but we do get 2 scenes of Virgil's little sister. Man, if you thought Ava Morgan Stern was annoying, this girl is basically the original version. The vice principal is an interesting character, though, because of his obsession with maintaining the pecking order of high school. It's meant to be an exaggeration of the preferential treatment given to students who play sports or cheerlead or what have you, as opposed to the more realistic way they handle it in Lemonade Mouth. I think it works well here because it got a few laughs out of me, even though we all know that this VP would be canned so fast at a real school. And then there's Virgil, portrayed by Disney Channel veteran Jason Dolley. I've always said Jason Dolley always makes the movies he's in a little bit better, but never worse, and I think that holds true here. Whether it's Read It and Weep or Hatching Pete, he's never asked to carry a movie on his acting alone. Usually, other actors, the direction, or the concept behind the movie already accomplishes that goal. Chances are, if you're watching this video, then you're already familiar with who he is and what he brings as an actor, which is relatively solid acting. If you like him, you'll probably like him in this movie too, but if you don't, I don't think his performance here will necessarily make you want to jump on the bandwagon, so to speak. Also, fun fact, Jason Dolley has had a lead role in 4 different DCOMs, making him the only actor in history to pull off that feat. Pretty impressive. And that's Minutemen. So, what's the verdict? Minutemen is a smart and fun movie that knows how to create the most reasonable and engaging situations to place their characters in. The idea of them going back in time for only minutes to solve problems within their high school is an amazing idea because of the fact that these characters are in fact in high school. For so many of us, when we were still in high school, we thought things like reputation, social circles, popularity was the entire world. The minds behind Minutemen used that mentality to create a situation where using time travel on a smaller scale made the most sense because why would a couple of kids think any bigger than that? It also works because of what Virgil mentions about a few minutes feeling like they can sometimes define an entire school experience. This may or may not be true for your school, but it seems to be true for theirs. But that's also where the unintended consequences come from. Changing the lives of geeks and turning them into popular kids actually made them jerks, which makes sense, because that's exactly what those particular geeks think that being popular is anyways. It's a powerful lesson that teaches us that even actions with great intentions can often lead us down a dark path, which is a lesson that any history book you read can confirm is legitimate. So, what about the temporal mechanics? Do they hold up? Well, yes and no. Here's the thing. If the Minutemen are traveling backwards in time to change events, that means at some point they should be running into their past selves, which, depending on what school of thinking you reside in, could create a temporal paradox or do nothing at all. But here's the thing, this movie doesn't believe in multiverse. What's multiverse, you may ask? Basically, it means that if you went back in time and harmed yourself, your present self wouldn't be affected, because now you've created a whole parallel universe where you harmed your past self independent and separate from your current reality. But, just like Back to the Future, this movie is all about changing the past to live in a better today, which means multiverse isn't considered here. That also means that the Minutemen going back in time would alter their own memories of events, and even their own existence. This is what you all probably know as the butterfly effect, where one change ripples outwards and creates a different world. That also probably means that at the end of the movie, there are 2 versions of the Minutemen, the version dressed in their snow suits that we see, and the version of them that never went back in time to begin with. So, yeah, lots of crazy stuff with temporal mechanics, and I definitely don't have a degree on the topic, so all of this is just theorizing on my end. But the time travel is a useful plot device to turn outcasts into heroes, and that's where this movie really excels. Scientific inquiry aside, this movie serves as both the origin to and the end of a trio of superheroes that use their powers for good, are sometimes conflicted by love and other emotions. They don't always see eye to eye, but at the end of the day, they're all together, ready to save the world when they're needed the most, even if not a single person at the school will ever remember what they did. So, yes, I went full-scale superhero with this review, but it really does work here, and let me tell you, it works a heck of a lot better in this movie than some actual superhero movies I've seen. In all, Minutemen is an engaging and fun ride, beautifully scored and filmed from start to finish, and it works masterfully to combine both simple and complex ideas into a relatively coherent narrative. It also easily makes my list for the top 10 best DCOMs of all time. And for those of you wondering, yes, that video is coming soon. The last time I checked the Watch Disney Go website, the entire movie was up there, so go check it out before time runs out. See what I did there? It's funny because time and... oh, never mind. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, help me out with the like, subs, and share it all over social media. And don't forget to follow the Disney Brain on Facebook and Twitter. Links down below. Thanks to a few of your suggestions, the next video will likely be the top 10 best Disney Channel characters. I'll tell you right now that this top 10 will absolutely be the hardest video to make. I had to whittle down an original list of over 40 Disney Channel characters that I liked just to get to 10, and that already took 5 hours. So, hopefully, you'll all enjoy it when it comes out. Until then...
Minutemen.
I hear you're trying to save the world.
Big Brother's pretty cool, huh?
When you die, can I have your room?